There's a well-known saying that a tiger can't change his spots. And while I think that's probably generally true, it's not completely true, because every day I meet people who've been transformed by something bigger than themselves on this program. Such was the case with my guest today. Ted Nellis joins me to tell his story. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful to be here, Cheryl. Thank you.
So you were a small-time pool hustler and a bank robber. So how did you, I mean, no kid grows up and thinks, when I grow up, I want to be a bank robber. So how did you end up on that path?
True, I never wanted to be a bank robber. I did want to be a small-time pool hustler,
Okay.
And those desires were born of a movie I watched, The Hustler. Paul Newman, Jackie Gleason, great old classic when I was maybe 12 years old. That got inside of me, and it changed me. It changed how I thought. It changed how I saw the world. I was active in sports at the time, an average student in school. I saw that movie and it changed me, and I thought that's what I want to be.
Wow.
And that's what I aspired to be. I started spending all my time in the local pool room downtown in my hometown, which is where all the nefarious characters gathered. It was never the game of pool that got me in trouble, but it was everything that went with it and everybody.
Do you think that going on that path, the movie inspired you, but then everything that followed that, was that about outside influences, or was that about, you know, maybe how you felt about yourself on the inside, or both? Absolutely
both. The company we keeps us, and it was definitely about outside influences, but I absolutely believe that I had self-esteem issues. I was really searching for my own identity in the world. I think I suffered from a colossal identity crisis, and where I did not feel that I fit in the normal scheme of things in life, in school, just the comings and goings of kids my own age. I did feel that I fit in perfectly with the downtown crowd. They became my new adopted family.
I think that's so true, though, of high school. I don't know anyone who actually truly feels they fit in, but
it's a tough gig, isn't it?
It is. It really is. So you then decided to rob a bank. What prompted that?
Tired of going broke on the road. I did become a small-time pool player. I was a road player. I hustled pool from Toronto to BC. Lots of small towns, lots of small games. I was a nickel and dime guy. I was never a professional player. I was an okay player, but I was a very good hustler. I was a good liar. But I would inevitably go broke. It was not a glamorous life at all. Staying in hostels, sleeping outside sometimes when I did, when I gambled for money, and when I won big, I would get a hotel room, but predominantly I was the quintessential pool hall bum in every sense of the word, and thrived on it. I loved it. That's who I wanted to be, but it's a hard life. You get old fast living that way. I was tired of being hungry, tired of being broke, and one day I woke up in a hostel in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I thought, I just don't have the energy to start small in a pool game and work my way up to some money again. I want some money, and I want it fast. I'm going to rob a bank.
Wow, and you got away with that.
I got away with it.
So you decided to try it again.
Yes.
But you happened to choose a bank somewhat near your mom's house.
A little too close to home, as the saying goes.
Oh.
Yes. It wasn't just any bank. It was my mother and father's bank. They didn't own the bank, but it's where they did all their banking. Small town, and they worked right across the street from the bank as well.
Oh.
That was the bank I decided that I would rob. I was not the brightest bandit on the block on any given day, and yeah.
And you got away with that one as well. So what finally got you turned in?
I was chased. I was actually foot chased by the manager of that bank, who I understand was severely reprimanded by the police afterwards. He chased me out of the bank, but I lost him. I jumped over the hedge in my mother and father's backyard. He didn't know it was their backyard. So this chase was going on through the suburbs, and I lost him leaping over the hedge of my mother and father's house, where he stopped chasing me, and I was hiding out in the basement.
And then you told your parents.
My mom worked across the street. She never ever came home from work, ever. She came home from work that day at noon. The neighborhood crawling with police, news cameras everywhere, small town, a bank's been hit, this is big news. And there were reporters and police everywhere scouring the neighborhood because they knew that I was holing up in a house somewhere, or assumed. And as my mother was making her way home and kind of making her way through all the police officers, she noticed that there was particularly a big number of officers around her house.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. She came downstairs, I'm sitting downstairs, money all over the bed. And she said, "This is about you, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah."
She turned you into the police.
I put her in a very unenviable position. She was between a rock and a hard place. What would she do if she I said, Mom, the police are going to go away sooner or later. When they do, when it's dark, I'm going to leave. I'll get on a Greyhound bus. You will never see me again. Well, it's an impossible situation for her. She'd be aiding and abetting a felon. And she couldn't do that. And so she was in a position of, do I go along with this kid, or for his own good, do I turn him in? And it's the best thing she ever did. If she hadn't, I would have continued on. I would have kept robbing banks.
Wow, tough love from a parent. Got you in prison for 5 years. We're going to continue your story in just a minute. Ted was in prison and soon to get out after only 2 years. It looked like he was turning himself around, but sometimes what you look like on the outside doesn't mean that you're fixed on the inside. We're going to talk about how he found peace in his life that was greater than all the regret and shame he had accrued over it. That's in a moment.